Hey everybody, Everett's Live Music doing a shout out today. Happy Winter Solstice. The shortest day of the year. It'll roughly be from like 7 a.m. to about 4 p.m. where I live. And that's when the northern hemisphere is pointing the furthest distance, you know, on that 23-degree angle from the sun. So as it comes around, we're pointing away. If we're over here, we're only getting, a little bit of the sun as we make our day happen, as the day happens. So as the Earth spins around once, today we'll see less of the sun than the southern hemisphere by far. Today will be what? The longest day for the southern hemisphere. I think that's pretty cool, because we know so much depends on all this, on the planet, and to me it's huge, it's meaningful. When I say I worship the planet, I guess it is, I worship the planet because that's how all of this began and how it's all possible, as long as everything keeps going the way it is. It's pretty wild. I would think like today'd be Christmas, and then on June 21st, roughly, right? That'll be our summer solstice. It'll be our longest day, and that's like from 5 a.m. to like 8 p.m. roughly here. You give or take some minutes there, but roughly. So that's a rough estimate off the top of my head. I didn't look it up. What you're looking at for a day length, and then that would be the shortest day on the southern hemisphere, and maybe they'd celebrate that too. And you don't have to take Christmas away, but I'm just saying, like, I think it's pretty cool. And then when spring comes, by the time spring gets here, the spring solstice in March, right, we'll be experiencing the day where now our northern hemisphere starts to favor the direction of the sun, and the southern hemisphere starts to turn away from the sun. It's not like you're turning away, but with that angle, that 23 or 24 degree angle, it varies a tiny bit, but that's when you start to make that change. So it goes from March, and then you got April, May, and then by June you're pointing as directly as the sun as you're going to get for the northern hemisphere. And that's your summer solstice, and then there's the fall solstice too. And I've gone over those, but I think that's pretty cool. I think it's something to recognize. There's no arguing it, no matter what you believe in life. Because those things really happen. There's no arguing any of it. Especially when you go to the equator and see them do their little science project down there with the Coriolis effect. It has to do with the spinning of the planet and stuff. And then sometimes, the Coriolis effects, you hear about that. I've mentioned it before with the winds and stuff. And that is true, because there's wind currents that are going as well, and it's highly dependent on the planet and the rotation of it. So all those things come into play, and it's funny down on the equator, if you go down there and try to tell them the world's flat then. What is it? It's flat and spin. If it was flat and spinning, you really think, roughly, 20 yards away from one another? When you flush the toilet, it goes the other way, and then when you flush it right in the middle, it just goes straight down. It's a pretty cool thing to see. I don't think they're faking it. It doesn't look like they can fake it, so I laugh at some of that stuff you hear about. And I guess we got to take it all in stride like that, But it is, so happy winter solstice. It's kind of exciting because after today, man, for where I live, it'll get a little brighter. And then probably by, February and March, those will be some good times for us here because I live in the Southwest, so our best weather is when the days are shortest, so to speak. We've had some really nice weather here lately. It's been in the 60s during the day, the 40s at night. That's so nice. You know, it's a little chilly sometimes, maybe because of a little bit of a dry heat, but still, that's really cool. And I dig that, you know. You got to want to celebrate the planet, right? It's not because of us this happened. We just happen to be, like I've explained before, a part of it. I did the virus one on the other one, the rabies. But I had to go get my dog his rabies shot, and then I had showed the kid the first time. She'd never seen Old Yeller, and she didn't watch the whole movie, but I told her about it, you know. I told her when that virus hit, you know, the pandemic and stuff, you're just, you know, and they have the scary movies about it, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah. I'll never get why we're so against one another. Why the way of life that we've developed here, you know, in the United States of America, I haven't been everywhere, so I don't really know how. I've been to Canada briefly, and I've been to Mexico briefly, Tijuana, and I drove down in there a little ways once, but not very far. So you don't really know what life's like there. You visit, and if you go to a touristy area, whether you're in Canada or Mexico, it's going to be as nice as it can be for the tourist because, well, guess what? We're going to make money off you. But pretty much our purpose in life, one way or another, you're taught from birth, you know, I mean, one way or another, and some are faster than others learners, and some get ahead quicker than others, but, you know, take care of your own, watch your ass, cover your back, and, you know, all fair love and war, and all kinds of little, you know, cliche statements or whatever you might say, you know, but it is the competition. So your whole life you're competing against one another instead of like a whole life of working towards a common goal. And it creates so much waste. And it creates so much unneeded pollution and stuff. I'm pretty damn sure of it. If we did it a different way, you wouldn't have to have so many different factories. And you're going to say to me, that's communism, that's socialism. It's not. We haven't evolved forever. We have not evolved as a people. Not in that retrospect. No. So that to me is like always going to be the reality of it. And if and even after going to school and going to the classes and then learning, you know, about the supply and demand and economics, I mean, you see it through your life that it's not really working. And that monopolies do happen. And that big corporations have sold out. For people of the United States of America, they've sold out their people at times. Whether their people were sticking up for themselves and trying to get more money or whatever it might be, you know. And then immigrants, they get blamed for being the problem, you know, because they come here and they work for less. And then the big guy, the guy that's the boss or the corporate, they're going to pay as little as they can. It's just really weird. It hasn't been you know, we have immigrant problem, they say, going on right now with the border of Mexico and stuff. But, you know, you hear it through your life. But when they come here, dude, somebody's got to hire them to work. And they're not just all going to be, like, criminals. Really? They're just all criminals. Huh. That's interesting. Maybe. I don't know all the facts on that. I do know, though, I'm pretty certain for a fact, that if they came here, so many, you know, if you came here and you can't speak English and stuff and you can't get a job, I mean, eventually you're going to stick out. And, I don't know, man. Build a wall? I don't know. Go ahead. Maybe pay the people that are trying to get out of you know, South or, you know, Central America. A lot of them come from too. And then they come up through Mexico, and then they try to cross the border. But somebody over here hired a whole bunch of them at one time. And I think it was at times when some of the workers in the United States of America, and we will say the whites, I don't like, I'd rather try to get rid of the colors and stuff. It would be a step in the right direction. But for the conversation, seeing it seems to be a heated one, especially in the Southwest at times, and then other parts of the country too, I'm sure. That's crazy. So at one point, maybe the workers were sticking up for themselves and saying they wanted more money. But the guy that's running the job and running the show, his profits matter the most, rather than sharing the profits, fairly equally. And maybe you can say that has been done, but I don't think so. And I think the problem is created by quite a few of the people that have been in power and quite a few of the people that have had the most. As they hire illegal aliens and they hire people for such a lesser wage, untrained workers, and they train them, and it's pretty wild. So I would hope you'd look at that one way or another before judging too much. And then I would say, why are you running away? I mean, the president said that a long time ago now. Why do you want to leave your country so bad? Because the living conditions are pretty bad. So, does anybody ever want to go back and change it that came from there and then made it in the United States? There's plenty of people here that are immigrants that came here the right way, and then some marry in, and however it happens, do you ever have a desire to go back and help? Maybe with ideas, and you've been trained now on how to possibly, develop infrastructure that's going to benefit all your people. And it's to me not always such a big argument. I just don't understand how that's happened, and then it's just blamed on the immigrants. And we are immigrants ourselves, all the Caucasians, all the whites from North America. I mean, you came here at one time, our ancestors did, and you can argue that. I don't care. I don't mind talking about that stuff. It'd be cool to get a hit back, but, on Winter Solstice, and I would think, Mexico would have to want to help some too. Again, I hope our leaders do the best for us, like in the wars that are happening now and how we're spending money in those wars and stuff. It's pretty wild, right? But I think we really sell ourselves out in the way of life we've developed. We haven't changed for a really long time. So, anyway, main shout out today is like the Winter Solstice. Celebrating the Winter Solstice today, And seeing what's happened to us and how we could maybe change things for the better for the future. And maybe someday there'll be a different way of living. Hopefully before AI and robots take over, whether they do or don't. I just think the population, the way it goes, and the continued development of more and more land, the same idea behind it. So you start developing a new area so there can be more, people in charge, more rich people, and then the poor people that just keep going and going and going, making and buying more stuff. We would have so much less waste if we would take a moment to think about that. Maybe we'd make things to last longer again. At one point, things did last longer, and at one point, there was a lot less waste. You didn't have hardly any waste. I mean, to one degree or another. But celebrates Winter Solstice. Shortest day of the year after today. Bing, the tick, 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 couple minutes every day. It's going to get longer, longer. The days will get longer. And for some places, you're going to start heading towards warmer weather. And, for us, I kind of enjoy the winters. in the Southwest, and anybody would. Part of the benefit. But again, like I'll touch once more on the borders, would be like, even where I live, with the developing that they did here with the housing and how much is being developed right now in the midst of a huge drought, the biggest drought I think we've seen that we know of, or one of them recorded. I'm not positive on that part. I mean, recorded, they do know that there's some that have lasted longer through science and ability to read the earth, and I'm not positive about those techniques that they use, but they're pretty good, carbon dating and different stuff that they use at times, and reading the earth and erosion and different things that have happened. This is one of the biggest, but for here, dude, even like where I live, when I moved here in '08, it had come to a standstill, and now they revved it all the way back up full throttle, and they did it all the way through a drought with no real knowledge that the water will come back, and we don't have the water. So I'll just stress again. You don't do that without the water. The fundamentals and the things you're told when you're young at times, and how right in front of you, they just totally break the rules at times. So you didn't secure your borders right here in this valley, in this city. To secure your borders for your people that live here, you would have said there's no building. Not until the water comes back. Not until we know we have a reliable source. And not only do we know we have it, but it's ready to be tapped and released onto the valley. And instead it's happened the other way. So when you talk about borders and ideas of life and people taking people's jobs and all this other stuff, and everybody gets so upset. And again, it's like the wars that happen. We get so involved. We have to keep our eyes on right in front of us and be, willing to discuss it and work through ideas that can provide a better future for our kids, man. Why do we have to travel all over, some of us, to try and sell stuff and get gimmicks and try to promise you this, and I can do more, and I'll go under him, and you're willing to cheat and hurt one another for the money. It's true. Maybe not in every business, but in so many of them, and it hits, I think, all levels of life. I asked my kid so many questions through her life, and I let her be in on the decision making of what we're going to do, because when they're young, dude, that conscience is there. They're born with the idea pretty much of what's right and wrong, and you teach it to them to a degree, but they have to learn to make money in life. You have to learn to believe in God and religions and different things. And you can say I shouldn't mention those, and I don't care. It is the reality of who we are. At one point, eating and a fire and keeping warm and having some shelter was everything. And it still should be for everyone. Everyone. Take being in the military or something. I don't necessarily want us to be a military style of living, but there's one fact that's true, man. What you learn in there, I believe, I haven't gone through it, but your unit is everyone makes it or you fail. It's there might be certain missions where you're leave them behind, but it's very rare, man. The whole idea is we all make it. You move as a unit, you move as a team, you live as a team. No one gets more than the other. We all get the same amount of stuff. We all eat the same. We eat the same food at the same place. And I know maybe you're like, well, that's fine for the military. It is. And I like our liberties, and I like our freedoms of choice. I so do. But there's so much, if you look at that and you think about it for a moment, you're like, God, if you don't see that, then say something back. But My comments have been disabled. I keep trying to enable them. Maybe, but he's like Putin, over in Russia, and he's going to be in power for like 30 years,
Some of them are in power for so long, I wonder why. Isn't anybody else trustworthy? Here we blame everything on the president, and it's fine, like the buck stops with me, but I'm pretty sure you have a cabinet. And then there's other people that are coming up through, I don't know. That's kind of weird to me that some people stay in power some places for so long. That's such an old way of living, and it's such a, maybe it's necessary sometimes. I don't know everything. I'm not always right. I know that. But I do see the world, I think I see for what we do and how we are, and the more, and I'm better than you, and I can do more for less, and here's a code for coupons and all this other. Why ain't it just one good price, man? Come on, really? I got to remember here's my phone number, here's my name, here's everything. It's not good enough to just there's one price for everyone. One low price. Well, no, you're a dedicated customer now, so you're going to get some extra savings because you have loyalty. That's really the loyalty is towards one another. Never mistake that. And for all of us making it and all of us helping one another to make it. Peace. I don't know, but